Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Welcome to the National Assembly of Malaysian Students in America's Career Webinar Series. The purpose of this series is to expose Malaysians in the US to various fields of interest, from public policy all the way to journalism. Featuring experienced professionals from key industries in Malaysia, this webinar series hopes to encourage Malaysians to pursue their dreams by establishing a solid foundation for all of us to kickstart the journey. My name is Ahmad Muhsin Azman, and I will be moderating tonight's career webinar episode, where NAMSA will be hosting Dr. Rozzeta Dolah, a mechanical engineering PhD holder currently doing her postdoctorate at Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the area of biomass source renewable energy, all while juggling her responsibilities as a single parent. She's also the recipient of this year's Tokoh Perdana Award here in the United States of America. Tonight, we'll be listening to her talk about her academic experience and postdoctoral research, graduate studies opportunities, as well as how she juggles it all as a single mother. But before we go further, I would like to first share Dr. Rozzeta's background info. So Dr. Rozzeta obtained her bachelor's degree in chemical technology at UKM Bangi and later furthered her master's in mechanical engineering in UTM Kuala Lumpur before continuing her PhD in mechanical engineering at Meiji University, Tokyo. She later obtained a scholarship to further her postdoctoral studies in the mechanical engineering department of MIT here in the USA. So, Dr. Rozzeta, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
I heard that it's a bit cold there up in Boston.
Yeah, it's quite cold here. I got a cold and a bit cough here.
Okay. So how have you and your family been this past few days? Are they okay, or maybe a bit under the weather?
Yeah, everything's fine because this is our second winter. So not much change from the previous winter, but in Boston, it's quite cold here compared to our previous winter in Japan. Previously, we have our first experience for winter in Japan during my PhD studies.
Okay.
But, in Boston, it's a bit colder than Tokyo over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but you're adapting real fine, and your children are also getting along well with it, I guess.
Yes, very much. Yes, everything is fine.
All right. So let's further on to the questions that we have for today. So the first question is, can you share a general overview about your current postdoctoral fellowship at MIT and the Department of Mechanical Engineering?
Okay. Right now, I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Mechanical Engineering Department at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology here in Cambridge, USA. And I'm placed under Laboratory of Macrofluidics and Nanofluidics Research under Prof. Rohit Karnik. And it's been a very good environment of research here, and I really enjoy my working here, working in the research of renewable energy. And it is a very good opportunity for me to further indulge more on the mechanical engineering plus chemical technology knowledge that I learned during my bachelor degree last time. And also I mixed a little bit with my PhD expertise last time, whereby I used the methodology of Taguchi method in order to optimize the reactor design that we have for biomass conversion into biofuels, where we utilize a pyrolysis process, a thermochemical pyrolysis process for the biomass conversion into biofuels. And for mechanical design optimization, I use several software here at Department of Mechanical Engineering at MIT. And after we got the output of the reactor, whereby we have some pyrolysis oil, so-called pyrolysis oil or the black oil from the biomass. So we try to upgrade it, and we try to make it some sort of a high value added oil, and there are several methods of bio oil upgrading. And here comes the specialization for the upgrading method, which involve physical and chemical applications, and also the applications in separation and applications in extraction, and whereby we can higher the quality of the oil itself. And also to optimize the reactor, we utilize some of the software. So-called we have a quick fill software, we have console, and we have for the reaction kinetics, we use like ChemKin Pro in order to optimize the reaction kinetic model inside the reactor itself. And for Taguchi method, I really interested in the optimization of the reactor parameters, whereby we have several parameters for the reactors. So in order to optimize the output, the main idea is to optimize the output, and also to have what are the optimal setting of the reactors in order to get higher volume of bio oil at the end, higher volume of biofuels at the end, by tuning the parameters that we have for our chemical reactors or our pyrolysis reactors.
I see. Okay. So that is very interesting, because for me, especially because I'm not a STEM major here in the US. I'm studying economics, so I don't really know much about like chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, and how things work, aside from like what you read in articles, things like that. To point, we have some difficulties trying to understand what they're trying to explain. But I guess that's why we're here today. So for everyone tuning into us right now, throughout the webinar, I'll be asking our speaker a set of questions, but anyone can feel free to comment any questions that you may have in the live chat box on your right, on the right-hand side of your screen. And yeah, do remember to include your name and university as well, all right? So moving on, we're going to be moving on with the second question of today. What are your primary responsibilities and everyday tasks as a postdoctoral fellow? Maybe some of us aren't really familiar with postdoctoral work, because we don't really get the exposure, that sort of exposure back in Malaysia. So probably you can describe a little bit about your research work.
Okay, first of all, we understand that the term implies, so postdoctoral meaning the process after we got our PhD, because the post word in front of the doctoral, meaning to say that we pursue something after we finish our PhD. So postdoctoral, more or less to say that we try to indulge more on the niche. PhD, we have expertise in, for example, in my case, my PhD is about the optimization of the method that we can use for experimental design. So that is one part of an expertise. But for myself, when I back from my PhD from Japan, I started to think in what area that I want to apply this method, because the method itself is an awesome method, because we can minimize the noise, we can minimize the variation. And I'm really interested in renewable energy fields, because renewable energy is something that we can higher up our technology, we can elevate the level of our science and engineering in terms of having waste into the wealth, converting the waste into the wealth. So for example, in Malaysia, we have a lot of waste for palm oil, for example, and then we want to convert the waste into wealth, into higher value added products. For example, in this case is the oil. So for the case of converting the biomass into biofuels, so we can use the method that we learned from our PhD studies last time in order to optimize the biomass conversion in the renewable energy field. So at MIT itself, we have postdoctoral studies, which is divided into two types of postdoctoral. One is postdoctoral associate, and another one is postdoctoral fellow. So for fellow, we need to say that the funding that we receive is a mixture. Either it coming from MIT, or it comes from other source of outside MIT. Whereas if for associate, we belong to 100% belong to MIT. So for fellow, that's the only obvious difference. But the workload, the coverage of the scope, basically the same. So postdoctoral is something that we want to find our niche. We want to further indulge what we want to be expert in, our expertise in what area. Yeah, we understand that in mechanical engineering we have a lot of broad range of applications. So in what specification or in what field that we really want to indulge, or we really want to go in depth using our expertise that we got or we learned from our PhD stage last time. So that is a very good opportunity for us to understand more on what we have or the expert that we got from our PhD.
Actually,
Yeah.
so from our conversation earlier, we talked about job experience, and you said that after your undergraduate studies, you worked in Malaysia for a moment of time. So do you mind sharing with the audience your job or industry experience back in Malaysia?
Okay, back in 2002, so a long time ago. So now it's 2018. So 2002, we actually right after undergraduate, I work as a process engineer. So I got a job in Shinetsu, Handotai. So or we call it as SEH Malaysia Sdn Berhad. So it is situated at Ulu Klang Free Trade Zone. Those who are familiar with that, so near Texas Instrument and Chipek and Shinetsu. So at Ulu Klang Free Trade Zone. So that was my first job. My first job place. So I worked as a process engineer at SEH Malaysia Sdn Berhad in the area of etching process. So it really applies what I learned during my undergrad study in the chemical side. So we deal a lot with all the chemicals, and when I work at the process area, or we understand that we have a lot of departments in the manufacturing company. So for SEH, it is a silicon wafer manufacturing company. So I have been placed in the etching area, which is a production department. So under production department, we have a lot of processes. So we have grinding, slicing, lapping, etching, CVD, chemical vapor deposition, lapping, until we got a polished wafer at the end. So the output of SEH is basically the polished wafer that being channeled out to Samsung, to other semiconductor industry to be assembled as an electronic device. So SEH provides the silicon wafer, the polished wafer surface. So along the process of the manufacturing area, so I've been placed in the etching area, and from there, of course, we work Monday to Friday, and I took the opportunity to understand more of the process, and I applied as much as I can that I learned from my undergraduate study, and during the moment, I mean, during my working time as a process engineer, Shinetsu gave us an opportunity to further study for our master level. So that was the time I decided to pursue my master. And for the master scope, I'm thinking at that time to further indulge in the manufacturing area and production area, because I am working at that particular area, right? So for the final project of my master, I tried to do some optimization in the etching area. So that was the moment where I learned about optimization, about quality engineering, how to minimize the rejects, how to maximize the yield, the production at the end. We target 100% production, of course, but we try to increase. The main idea is we try to increase the production process by using quality improvement tools. So we have a lot of quality improvement tools, and we have to really be wise how we want to choose which tools and which tools are suitable in order to overcome the problem in the production area. So my routine, Monday to Friday, I work as a process engineer, and then Saturdays and Sunday, I went to UTM KL that time to pursue my master, and 7 days just like that, and it's kind of busy routine that time. And for 2 years, then I got my master, and I continued working at SEH until 6 years. So until the 6 years, then only I decided to pursue my study in the PhD level. So after 6 years, then I pursued my PhD in Japan. But before that, the reason why I interested into the academic line was because I started to think to apply the master knowledge and also the industry background that I have, because I really think that it is very useful to apply to the students, to the academia world, right? Because being in academia, it is quite a privilege for you to have the industry background and also the qualifications that they need. For example, we really want PhD qualification to enter academia world with PhD level. So in addition to the qualification level, so it is very good if you can have industry experience, because when we want to teach a student, for example, for engineering student, so before they become an engineer, so we have to become an engineer first, so that we understand that we are teaching, and we want to teach the future engineer, right? So we ourselves, if we became if we were the engineer last time, so it is a privilege. So we understand what are the requirements in order to become an engineer, to become an engineer in real life. So during their study in the undergraduate level, so we can channel out what are the important criteria that they should have before they graduate, and that kind of experience I learned from my working experience before I before I go into the academic line.
Okay,
Yep.
I see. Like what for so for your recommendation, you would recommend people to actually get some experience in the industry first before they continue furthering their studies, or would it be totally up to them?
Okay, from my opinion, it is good if we can have some foundation in practical way of doing it. So not necessarily to be working in an industry. Maybe we can apply it in any sectors, in any consultations, or in any practical way of doing it. That means we practice whatever we learn during our undergraduate times. And it is good if we can go into industry world before we go for academia, so that we can have some sort of practice. And my advice is, if we can have an experience like 2 to 3 years, that will suffice enough before we go to academia line.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what exactly embarked your spirit to pursue a higher education level in mechanical engineering?
Okay, because my background in chemical and then I switched to mechanical. Yeah, the main reason was during that time, SCH offered the engineer to pursue the master level, and the working environment in SCH at that time, we deal a lot with we are dealing a lot with the manufacturing process and the mechanical devices, the manufacturing line, the production, the operational research, a lot of parameters that we are playing around, and how to optimize these parameters using the tools, using the optimization tools, using the statistics, and so on. And this area actually divert me more into the mechanical applications. So that's the main reason why I choose mechanical engineering as my master's study, and majoring in the advanced manufacturing technology. And that course is offered by UTM-KL at that time, whereby lecturer from Skudai, UTM Johor, they travel to KL to teach us during the weekends. So it was a nice time. Yeah, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you said in your for your postdoctoral fellowship, you're focusing on renewable energy for biomass conversion into transportational fuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think why do you think that's important? Why do you want to do why do you want to do your research in that sector?
That sector is very promising sector, and at MIT we have a lot of resource focusing on renewable energy, and we have an institution that really focus on the energy field, and the professors here, we have a lot of experts in renewable energy for solar energy, wind energy, biomass conversion into biofuels. So, and the technology that we have here also, I think it is a good opportunity for me to grab their technologies and bring back to our country to elevate our technology and expertise in renewable energy. So that's the main factors that I choose this field. And also in converting waste, we try to save our environment. We try to convert the waste into wealth. So renewable energy is one of the big contributions in order to convert waste to wealth. Yeah.
Okay. It's a very important topic, I guess. It's been very talked about lately in international news because of specifically how the European Union wants to boycott palm oil products from Malaysia. And I think what you're trying to do, making the most of the waste that we have from palm oil production, is something that is really is an area that we should really be focusing into. And it's I think that it's a very noble thing for you to be doing. And yeah, I hope that all goes well for you, Doctor.
Yeah. And at MIT, having the experience working with Prof. Rohit Karnik's lab for microfluidics and nanofluidics research laboratory. So basically, I have some additional information on the membrane separation, going into the nanofluidics channel, how to improve the reactions, the heat transfer in the reactor. So the nanotechnology is there. So I have the opportunity to further hone my skill in that particular sector of renewable energy.
Okay. I hope that one day we can actually I hope that one day you can actually spearhead a movement that will be, that will improve the palm oil sector in Malaysia as well. Nanti will she, inshallah?
Inshallah, yeah. And,
all right.
Yeah. And if I can add a little about the how to jive the cost that we have. I mean, we have some expert before in some particular area. And then, for example, in my case, for the Taguchi method of quality engineering, and then don't let it be just like that. So in postdoctoral, try to utilize whatever that you have before you pursue the new level of your studies. So in postdoctoral, I try to combine both. So by utilizing the Taguchi method or by utilizing the quality engineering that we have learned before, we try to apply it into this biomass conversion process. So, for example, how to optimize the parameters in the pyrolysis reactors in order to get high quality of the oil at the end. And then we follow the subsequent process in order to have a clean and to have a greener output at the end.
Okay. We actually have a question from our audience.
Yeah.
So Shafiq from Michigan State University, I think he's a friend of mine.
Okay.
He's asking whether or not it's hard for you to get employment in Malaysia after your undergraduate degree. What do you think about that, with like unemployment for graduates being a very hot topic in Malaysia?
Actually, okay, having said that, it's really related with our economy situation, right? When we talk about job, when we talk about career. So it really depends on our economic surrounding, our economic situation. It is very uncertain. It's very uncertain. But what we can do is we try to think positively. How we want to solve that kind of problem. Don't give up. What I mean is everywhere in the world, it's hard to find jobs. So there is there are quite a number of hurdles or obstacles that we face when we want to find jobs. No matter regardless of what level you are, either undergraduate or either you're postgraduate, even if you are postdocs, and then you want to find jobs after that. So everybody's face the same problem. So we try to look at the opportunity that we have. For example, in my time, last time, it was 1997, 1999, 1998. So that time was we have quite a big wave of economic downturn, and the government have done such a good approach whereby they offer the skill employment program, where we have to join some programs. We didn't get full salary out of it, but we have some allowance from the programs, and at the same time we have been given a technical skill in particular area. For example, last time we have industrial automation, we have IT. These are two main areas the government offered us in that program. So we grabbed that opportunity. We cannot be so choosy, even though we cannot get full salary as a process engineer or as an engineer last time or as a scientist last time. But last time I could say average like 2,000 plus. We didn't get that 2,000 plus. We only get like a few hundreds, the allowance, right? But still, it is a good opportunity for us to gain the experience, to gain the technical skill that we have before we have been absorbed into the industry or the real work, the real work position. So be alert. What I can advise, be alert of a government opportunity, be alert of the offers that we can get around us, because we never know. Sometimes there are good opportunities out there. So we really have to be alert.
Yeah. I see. Going off Shafiq's question, he also asked whether or not you did any internships before you went to work.
You mean during the undergraduate or during which?
During the undergraduate period.
Yes. Last time, I am very, very thankful with Selangor Human Resource Development Center. Right after I finished my undergraduate, I joined the reskilling program, they call it, reskilling program at SHRDC, whereby we have been given an allowance to undergo the program for like 1 year. Then after 1 year, we have been placed into several companies. We have been interviewed, and then the companies choose us to become a trainee in that particular industry. So after 6 months being trained in that company, then only we have been absorbed as a permanent worker in that company. And having said that, it is still not a confirmed position. We still have to go to undergo the probationary period, like for 6 months. Then only we've been absorbed as a permanent worker as a process engineer. So it my time last time is a bit hard, bit tough, I could say, because the economy is not very good at that time. But I try to search what are the opportunities that I can have, because we try to be alert what kind of opportunity that I can get in order for me to get job. So of course, at the beginning, I cannot get a permanent job, but I try to get what are other opportunities. So even though we have been trained as a trainee, but it's still a job. Even though it's just a trainee, but it's still a job. But the difference is we didn't get the full salary. But the knowledge, the experience, they're really, really skilled. They really, really trained us how to become an engineer at that time. For that particular program, yes. And then after that, after 1 year, then only I became the process engineer in Sohandotai.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess like one thing we can say definitely is that it's not just about looking for a job, looking for a job with good salary, but also looking for a job that actually contributes to your skills, the development of your knowledge of what you already have from your degree, right?
Actually, there are two types of skill that we really have to focus. One is technical skill, another one is soft skill. So hard skill and soft skill. Hard skill, yes, maybe if we are engineering graduate, or if we are science graduate, or we are IT graduates, so we have that hard skill. But how about soft skill? Because soft skill is something that you cannot learn during your undergraduate study. It is learned by practice. How you communicate, the communication skill with different level of people, with the top level of management, with the lower level of management, with the operator, with the technician, with the shift supervisor, how you want to enhance the skill of communication, of communicating with this kind of different level, and how you want to hone yourself to become a good team player. So these are the skill set that really need your own initiative, and it really need an effort to become a good team worker, to become a good good skill in communication, and to become yeah, I could say that the soft skill, that's something that we also need to focus on, not only on the hard skill. So soft skill, most of the soft skill I learned during my time at SHRDC, Selangor Human Resource Development Center, during that training period. So I got my permanent job after I undergone the training for 1 year. Also, in addition to that, I received my advanced diploma in industrial automation during that year also, during that 1 year term of reskilling program. They call it as reskilling program. So we got both. We got the cert. We also got the soft skill. We have the experience and the opportunity to level up our skill in communication, in dealing with different kind of people. So it's a good thing, because it's not easy to learn that. We learn by doing, by practice.
Right. Like there's a lot of opportunities aside from the studies that we do in class for our degree or any other tertiary level studies. So we have to actually grab those opportunities, right?
Yes. Even though it is not formal education, actually we can sharpen the skill in informal way. For example, try to practice yourself by talking to different level of people in daily life. For example, if you meet older people, how you communicate with older people. If you meet younger children, for example, younger kids, or different type of different type of sectors, different type of industry. Sometimes the culture is different. So how you deal with this kind of people, how you communicate with different kind of background, how you want to put yourself as a good team player. So that thing actually we can learn throughout our daily life, not necessarily to be in formal way of education, but we can gain that kind of skill in our daily lives as well. Don't limit yourself. And try to talk. Yes.
All right. Our next question would be about your PhD studies in Meiji University, Japan. So I'm pretty sure you have had some very sweet memories there, as well as challenges. So do you mind sharing your most enjoyable moment during your PhD studies, as well as the greatest achievement that you have while doing your PhD there?
Yes. My PhD. Okay, that's really a good memory. My passion for quality engineering initiated when I was working as a process engineer at SCH. I have to admit that. And okay, the process started when we have been given a task to reduce the reject when I was working as the engineer at SCH. So as I said earlier, each of the process, for example, myself, I handle etching process. So as an engineer for etching process, we have many KPIs. One of the KPIs meaning the target that we need to achieve at the end of the year. So we have to achieve, for example, 98% of yield of that particular area. Of etching process, we have to achieve 98% of yield. So, and also another KPI is for you to achieve the lowest defects of stain, for example. So we have many types of reject. We have many types of defects. For grinding, we have grinding chip. For etching, we have etching stain. For lapping, we have thickness or warpage or anything. So that kind of reject. So how we want to reduce the reject? We cannot just reduce just like that. So we have to have a proper tools to reduce that, right? So that moment, at SCH, they hire a consultant to train us as an engineer, to train us, to equip us with proper tools to overcome all these problems. And that moment, the consultant was Systex Consulting Sdn Bhd, and the consultant was Puan Salihah, and also Dr. Molenix came to the factory and taught us about how to minimize the rejects, how to increase the yield, and basically it's all about Six Sigma program, Black Belt Six Sigma. So the training, the coaching took us about like almost 1 year, because several months of training and then several months of applying to the production line to really validate what are the results after we implement several tools. So that Black Belt Six Sigma program actually the initial point where I felt that quality engineering is really, really important. It's really, really important in order to reduce the reject, to higher the level of a process, to make the product as a world quality class product. Because in order to make a quality product, we have to specify what are the things to make it highest quality at all. As you can see, and then that time I tried to reflect myself. We know that Japan have produced good quality products. We, for example, for semiconductor last time, for the companies like Toshiba or Konica Minolta for cameras, and for cars, for example, we have Toyota, right? So we have Daihatsu, we have so many cars industries that originated by Japan countries. So at that point, I started to think that, okay, Japan has produced quite a number of quality products, number one world quality products. So why not I go to explore Japan for quality engineering world? So at that moment, I started to reflect myself, the tools that I used during my working time. So the consultant taught us about design of experiments and also Taguchi method, and that is a bit advanced statistics. So the basic statistics, the t-test, the ANOVA, analysis of variance, the multiple variable study. So we try to reduce the reject by using all these statistic tools. So that moment I feel that to become a good engineer, we also have to equip ourselves with a good foundation of statistics. If we have a good foundation of statistics, we can deal very much with all this minimization of the defects in order to higher the yield at the end as the output of a process. So by looking at the statistic skills, so we have been given some of the software in order to ease us to do the data compilation, which involved thousands of inputs of productions of wafers and thousands of data input of other history data like number of operators, number of shifts, and so on. So that software helped us to do the analysis of the data, in addition to have a good foundation in the theory, the theory basis as well. Not only the software, but also the theory basis. We have to really understand what are the meaning behind the formula that we use in statistics, in quality engineering that time. So when I want to pursue my study in PhD, the direction to look at Japan is already there. And the quality engineering world that I think there are very big potential to explore in Japan was already there. So I tried to search, we tried to do some homework, some research, and then I found out that, Meiji University have an expertise in Taguchi method and also design of experiment. So these are the two tools that I really interested to explore more. And PhD in Meiji University, I applied, and then I got accepted. Then I pursued my PhD at Meiji University in Japan, in Tokyo, and for 3 years. I learned a lot from my supervisor, Professor Zenshi Miyagi, and also the originator of Taguchi method itself. So I feel so blessed by having the experience learning about Taguchi method from the pioneer itself. So Dr. Taguchi that time was 86 years old. So her son is Shin Taguchi, came to Japan every year. He's from America. His base is with American Supply Institute in Michigan. So he came to Japan every year to Meiji University to give talk and to meet me and my supervisor. And I learned a lot from him, the pioneer of Taguchi method. And also I did some comparison between DOE and Taguchi method, how to use it, when to use it, the specific time to use it, what are the difference between these two methods, what are the limitations between these two methods, so that you can understand more. It's not just simply doing it, but we can differentiate between this method, because each method has its own pros and cons, and each method has its own way to implement in certain industries. For example, the A tools can be applied for Z process. B tools can be applied for Y process. You can apply the B tools for Z process, or you can apply the C tool for S process. So if we use wrong tool to overcome certain process, so the process won't be optimized. So that kind of understanding, I learned a lot from my PhD time, especially having the opportunity to learn from the pioneer with support from industrialists at Japan. My main supervisor, Professor Zenshi Miyagi, really helped me a lot in understanding the mechanism of and the concept of quality engineering. And he pushed me to industry people. He introduced me to people from Fuji Xerox. I still remember Fuji Xerox, and also from Konica Minolta, and from Nissan. So, and also from Ricoh. So we still communicating until now, and that is the importance of networking. We can talk about networking later. So we still have a very good relationship with all these people, with the industrialists that I have the relationship during my PhD time, that I built the relationship during my PhD time last time. And with Shin Taguchi, of course, I just visited him last month when I had a conference at Pittsburgh recently, and I take an opportunity to visit him at Michigan. And my relationship with my supervisor at PhD during my PhD time is still okay, and still okay until now. And it's such a very good memory. And from the PhD program itself, for the Taguchi method, we try to extend. We don't want we don't want the Taguchi thing just stop like that, right? So we try to extend the knowledge outside Japan, because the main purpose is our country. We need to remember everything that we do. We have to remember what are the benefits. What is the benefits that we can offer our country? So since my PhD time last time, I started to think, what can I contribute to my country? So at that moment, there are some lecturers that came to Japan for some purposes, and Prof. Syahri, Dr. Karijal, Prof. Awaluddin, Dr. Rahman, PM Dr. Rahman, Prof. Rose Salinda, they came to Japan, and some of the top management of UTM and some of the top management of other universities as well. From my alumni from UKM also, they came to Japan, if I can remember last time. And we are doing some kind of collaborations. So we try to extend the knowledge that I got in Japan to Malaysia. So that was the initial point. We have the idea to build the Taguchi method outside Japan, and to initiate a conference in English, because the conference in Japan for Taguchi conference is being held in Japanese, and the secret of quality engineering have been communicated in Japanese as well in the conference. So that's not, it is a threat there. We kind of quite difficult to understand the language at that moment. So, but on the positive side, we started to think that, it is good if we can have an English conference of Taguchi method conference, so that we can contribute to society the importance of Taguchi method industry. So that is when the idea of the first conference of International Conference of Robust Quality Engineering, also called ICRQE, being held in UTM in 2013. So that was the first Taguchi conference in English we carried out in Malaysia. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh wow, we actually have a lot of questions from our audience, but I hope we have time to go over all of them. But before we go into the questions from the audience, perhaps you can also share what were your challenges doing your PhD then, and maybe you can also talk about how the challenges in life for you in general. For example, like studying while raising your children, and what advice you can give to people about what they want, about which pathway they would choose for their future, whether or not they would get married, or they would get married first before studying, or would you recommend them to do both at the same time, ke study dulu ke? So what do you have to say for that?
Okay, the first question was about the challenges I faced during my PhD time. I think everyone faced the same problem. When we go in that, when we try to search more and more and more in the knowledge, so we tend to be like the term lost. The more we dig into the knowledge, the more we find out that we are really we are really lost, and we sometimes we overwhelmed with all the information, with all the sources that we found during the searching moment, or I could say to find the thing that we try to discover. And but we have a lot of source of help. So at that moment, my supervisor really helped me a lot in narrowing down the niche that I should focus. Don't too overwhelmed with what you have found in your area. So he tried a lot in order to make me understand what actually I should be doing, what actually I should be focusing, what area that I should go, and the direction, and be focused in the destination that I want to achieve at the end. And having said that, so we end up a good discussion for the PhD scope of study, and a part of the confusion. So we can. I receive a very good resource of help during that time, so that I overcome the challenges during the PhD time while I was in Japan. And your second question was about the timing or the challenges in terms of personal life in pursuing study. So to answer the question, actually, first, try to be focused. Try to be focused, meaning to say that in our destination, we have our goal. So of course, in order to go to our goal, or in order to arrive to our destination, we have a lot of variation along the way, right? So along the way, we have many noises, many variation that could deviate us from our target or our destination. So the analogy to understand this, remember last time when we drove to Washington DC, for example, for the Tokoh Perdana last time, right? So it was during Thanksgiving. So along the way, we want to go to Washington DC. We found quite a number of variations. Like for example, we want to we can we might deviate our route to the outlet because it was Black Friday. so that deviation we have regardless of the deviation, regardless of the noise, it is fine for us to deviate a bit, to go to the outlet to have some shopping during the Black Friday, but remember our destination. So we still have to continue our journey to Washington DC. So that is one of the simplest analogy that I can depict here in order to reflect our goal. Remember our goal. What is our goal? So try to be stick to one goal, and then the noise, the variation that we have around us, we try to tackle as much as we can. And yeah, for further study, I think if we have planned to further our study after finish your undergraduate, just do it. For me, I think marriage is not an issue. If you want to get married after you finish your undergraduate, fine. I mean, if you have everything that time, if you afford to get married that time, so you can go for that. But bear in mind again, if you remember, your goal is to further your study for master. After you got married, you can further your master, right? So be sure that you stick to what you want, and to have kids during your study, I think it's not a problem, because for myself, during my master study, I have I have my first daughter, and then raising her in 2 years, then I finish my master, and then after I complete my master, I have another child, the second daughter, and then after that, the third my son, the Ryan, and in before I pursue my PhD, and then I bring all together all my kids for my PhD study last time. Still, having 3 children while studying PhD is not a problem for me, because that is a challenge. We take it positively. So we have children, yes, and also we have our PhD to complete. So yeah, just do it. I mean, don't put a milestone whereby you say to yourself, okay, after 3 years, then only I want to study. Okay, after my kids 5 years old, then only I want to study. But we never know that when we arrive at that stage, for example, the age of our kids, 3 years. So different types of challenges that we might face. We have to send them to school. We have to give them extra classes. We have to send them for extra curriculum. And we keep on saying to ourselves, oh, maybe later, maybe later, maybe later. So that is the most important thing that we have to remind ourselves. So regardless of busy routine, so we just go. I mean, just do. If you want to do your study at particular area, just do it.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of people tengok I pula kena kena sore throat. I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate the words that you've said, and I know a few of my friends as well are already already have their plans for their future, whether it's to study or it is to settle down. And I'm sure what you've shared with us is can actually benefit them a lot and inspire them, if I may. You know, we're going to be taking a question from the audience from a long list of questions here. Okay, so Hasrik Hadil from Indiana University Bloomington has the question. He acknowledges that Malaysia is currently investing a lot in research and development for renewable energy, and he's asking your opinion on when Malaysia can fully implement the use of renewable energy using perhaps biomass conversion into transportation fuels in our economy.
Actually, Malaysia already heading towards that direction. We're quite good in renewable energy. We have implemented some of the biomass blending fuel, but actually the research level, that something that we can look upon with. I mean, we can go in depth how we want to have the technology from other countries, and then we can apply back to Malaysia. And actually, we have been doing quite well for renewable energy. And like Petronas, TNB, I have done some research with them, and actually the blending technology, the usage of the other alternative fuels, we already implement that in Malaysia.
Okay.
It's a big, it's I mean, it's a big opportunity of research to explore, and we are going towards that directions, and we are in good level of technology that we have.
All right. Another question from our audience. Aina, a senior studying chemical engineering at Wisconsin Medicine, is asking what it was doing part-time doing your part-time masters while working in the industry.
Macam mana tu?
So, dia tanya how was it like doing your masters part-time while still working?
All right. Actually, it actually quite challenging because 7 days a week you have no rest. Monday to Friday you work as in industry, and then Saturday, Sunday you have to go to class, and the class is a full swing class from morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. And I admit lack of rest, but my strategy that time was I talked to myself, you want master degree, you have to do it. There's no other choice. You have to force yourself. And there's no other way. If we choose to rest, either you want to rest or you want to get your master. So my goal that time was to have my master, regardless how tired I am. I really want what I want. So that's this. Actually, it depends on our self passion, how passionate we are to get what we want. So we have to sacrifice basically. I cannot choose my class time because we have to follow the lecturers, right? So the lecturers can come at that particular time, so we have to follow their time. And if we can tolerate with our bosses, with our managers, so that would be good. So that's where we have to enhance our skill of communication with our boss in workplace, because sometimes the master study require you to go to other places to collect some data or information, to go and to meet your supervisor at some particular time, and that was the moment that I need to negotiate to have an excuse from working time to go to the other places. So, but it's okay. I mean, as long as you have a concrete reason or excuse, then I think our manager would be okay enough to release us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another one last question before we proceed with our planned questions. Ahmad Faiz from Penn State University is asking what is the major factor that makes you so determined and assertive to continue pursuing your studies?
What are the main factors?
Why what makes you want to pursue your studies? Like some people dia dah habis degree macam tak apalah, cukup lah kan. So why, doctor?
Okay, that is really interesting because myself last time after I finished my undergraduate, my intention was to be working in industry, to become an engineer, so that is my aim. But blessings, rezeki Allah kan, kadang-kadang kita tak nampak, kita tak tahu kan. The moment I work in LCH, I was given the sponsorship to pursue my master, so I grabbed the opportunity. Even though I have to go to class during weekend. So I grabbed that, but after I completed my master after 2 years, I still continue working because the main reason was I don't want to resign at the early stage of working duration. So if we have experience like 1 or 2 years, I think at that moment I have not The experience is not suffice for me. For me, like 3 years and above, then I satisfied as a working experience. So it ended up to 6 years. So after 6 years, then only I decided to pursue PhD. Because at that time I got my master. At the same time, I got my industry experience for 6 years, and 6 years is suffice enough for us um, to have a phase shift to the other sectors, for example, and then I try to go to the academic line by applying job at University Technology Malaysia. So, and then I got job at UTM, and we have been forced to pursue our PhD at that moment, because to become a lecturer we have to have a PhD. And I entered UTM by my master qualification and also by my industry background. So we have to pursue PhD, and then to pursue PhD, I try to use back what have I learned during my working experience plus my master plus my undergraduate. So all these three fields, undergraduate, master, and working experience, I blend together to make my proposal for my PhD. And then I got a place at a major university to apply the experience that I work in quality engineering using the DOE, using Taguchi method, the difference between those methods, which I learned from my working part, and a bit of mechanical background and a bit of chemical knowledge there. So I try to blend all together for my PhD study. The adhesive strength is a bit a big section that deal a lot with the chemical strength, with the chemistry behind it, and the mechanical part was the TP strength that I try to optimize during my PhD time. And the method that I used was Taguchi method, and I try to differ by using DOE to see the difference between these two methods. So the blending of the experience that you got is very, very important for you to apply back to what you want to pursue at the next level. So try to utilize everything that you have in your life. When you want to pursue something, try to utilize everything that you have in your background in order to put yourself in the next level.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned earlier about how your master's was sponsored by your company when you're working after your degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what about your PhD and your current postdoctoral studies?
My PhD, I was fortunate because Ministry of Higher Education sponsored us for PhD, because I was employed by the government sectors, meaning to say that I work with IPTA, public university, right? So public university, they sponsor the young lecturer to further the PhD by using the scholarship from Ministry of Higher Education. And then for postdoc also, I got a sponsorship from the Ministry of Higher Education, together with the nanomite grant. Nanomite project, which actually initiate the research that we want to indulge, or we want to further explore in nanotechnology research, which being emphasized in nanomite research consortium aims and objectives.
I see.
Yeah.
So speaking about your lecturing at UTM, do you enjoy your job as a lecturer? And what would you advise students who are interested in going for that path? And what sort of skills or qualifications do you think are required for people to be good lecturers?
You mean the skill set? Okay, being lecturer nowadays is very challenging. So we have to teach, we have to do research, we have to do papers, we have to do papers meaning publication. We have to have a good collaboration with industries. We have to have good source of funding. And we have to have good source of grants, and also good research skill, and also good supervision. So all these thing is actually a package of what a lecturer should be in Malaysia. And I found it adventurous and challenging, and a good professional skill. I mean, a good professional sector to explore.
Okay.
Yes, in addition, we can help our education system, and the best thing in academic world is actually being together with the students, and then by having your life being shared with students, I mean, being together with students along the way, actually you learn a lot with students. Yeah, if you love learning, and so academic is a magic.
We have a question from the audience. So Aline from University of Maryland is asking, in your opinion, after finishing an undergraduate degree, would you just accept any good job offered to gain experience, or should you wait for something for your dream job, maybe in your specific sector?
For me, I try not to be choosy. The offers that I got, okay, whatever offer that you will get, try to grab, and try to perform as best as you can, because it doesn't mean that if you get offer from big company and the job will be fine with big companies. Sometimes the challenges will be different working in big companies versus small companies. And also sometimes in small companies you actually can explore more, and to further enhance your skill in small company sometimes might be easier than bigger company. So we wouldn't know which company is good for us, or which one is perfect for us, which one is perfect for us to be which one is good for us to park ourselves for which kind of sectors. So for my opinion, try to accept what you have, what you have in front of you. So by accepting the offer, then only you know where to go. Yeah. For me, being choosy is not a good thing to do, because right now nowadays, first it's quite hard to find job, and secondly, try to look at the positive facet. Even though the maybe the perks is not as good as a big company or other multinational company, but maybe you can learn some other things that really enhance yourself to receive better offer in future.
Okay. Hanis from Penn State University is interested to know, how do you manage your studies and your family at the same time?
Okay. First thing, talking about managing families and studies. First thing that I have in mind is like actually the moment you wake up, try to do your responsibility for the family first. For example, in my case, I have kids, and then the moment I wake up every morning, I have to send my kids to school. So after you send your kid to school, then only I can sit down and think what are the things that I should do after that. So I try to plan my things right after I send my kids to school. I try to plan what next, what should I do next. So normally the time that I have, I try to utilize as best as I can, because I know the commitment once I step down from the bus to my house, there will be different hats that I wear. I when we are at MIT, so we do research. We try to finish everything that we can. We try to fulfill everything that we have in schedule. I try to accommodate my time with the research, the meetings with supervisors, the discussion with friends, with lab mates, the experiment time that I need to do, how long that I should be in the laboratory, how long that I should be in the discussion with my friends, what time that I should go back to my home at that particular day, because different day would require me to go back at different time. And also it's a responsibility to fulfill as the president of MIT PDA. So all this requires some big commitments. So in 1 week, actually, I accommodate several hours for 3 particular things. First, my family hours, how many hours that I should allocate for to look after their homework, to fulfill the schedule with the parent teacher association. Sometimes we have to meet the teacher at school at some day. And then secondly, the time for my research. In other words, the time to be in the laboratory. And the third one is for the time to enhance my soft skill. Because apart from doing research, I also have to consider what else to do, what else that I can improve for my soft skill. So in that particular part, I focus on the leadership. For example, the MIT PDA thing, which I've been newly elected as the president recently. So that is also the main reason why I challenge myself to become the president of MIT PDA, because I really, really want to have a balance in during my postdoctoral study, not only research, but we also want to hone ourselves in leadership skill, how we deal with different level of people, how we communicate with different background of culture, because MIT PDA coming from several countries with 50 plus departments, different departments and different background, different culture. So how we deal with this kind of people, how we communicate, how we manage a team with different backgrounds. So we challenge ourselves to become a bit different from our routine. If we were trying so hard to focus in one particular part, there is a limitation for you to explore more in other parts. So what I'm trying to say is give space to yourself apart from your busy life as a researcher, and also your responsibility as a mother of 3, for example. So try to make that not to hinder yourself to try to achieve what else best for yourself, for the soft skill part. So these 3 main components actually I try to accommodate during my postdoctoral program study here at MIT. And Alhamdulillah, I achieve what I want. As I mentioned earlier, I have the goal, and I actively I put myself in that organization earlier, because I know that what I want to target after 1 year term, what I want to target, what I want to be as what I've got today as a president of MIT PDA. We already had the target previously, so we strategize ourselves. So you cannot become a president on the first day you came to MIT, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be from below. You have to get involved in the activities from the beginning. So that is one of the strategy that how we can challenge ourselves to achieve different facets of responsibility, or different facets of personal skill that we would like to have, apart from the technical skill that we already have as a researcher, as a academician, and as a mother, how you handle your kids. And I always receive a question from people asking, when is your me time? So so for me myself, my me time is in the bus. So yeah, because I
Okay.
have no choice. It's kind of busy, hectic schedule I have, because the moment I wake up, I have to think about how to cook, what to cook, when to send my kids to school. And then after sending them, once I reach home, I have to cook to make sure everything all set before I go to MIT, so that they will not be hungry after they came back from school, right? And then I have everything in plan. After all set, the food, the timing, their school, then I go to MIT. And on the bus, it's the only time I have to just relax and just think what I want to do um, in in um, in 5 years, or what is my dream, or after something like that. You can dream anything on the bus, because you cannot do anything on the bus, right? So you just sit, and then that is the moment I use to have a me time to sometimes I listen to radio and to the YouTube. I listen to some musics to relax myself. But the moment I step down from the bus, I arrive at my seat, and the busy life started again. So I rush to the lab. I rush to meet my supervisor, and I try to fulfill the classroom, any class that I can attend, in order to add my knowledge. Because as postdoctoral, you can choose what subjects that you want to attend to enhance the knowledge that you have. And giving an example for my postdocs, I have attend classes like microfluidics class, nanofluidics class, because I found out that this kind of class actually give extra knowledge of what microfluidics is, or what nanofluidics is, and we can see the application of it. And yeah, just grab the opportunity that you have. Everything that you have in front of you, just grab it, and
Okay.
don't make your weakness as obstacle for you to achieve what you want.
That's very inspirational, I guess.
Yeah.
You talked earlier about how networking is important.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, as a, speaking from your previous experience, how do you build good network? A good network around you. Do you mind sharing some networking tips, especially within a formal setting, maybe with your peers, with your lecturers when you were studying dulu?
Networking is about uh, to have a relationship, regardless of who you want to have the relationship with. So, for example, you go to the conference, you meet a lot of people, right? You meet a lot of people. It is really overwhelming, because you just feel like you want to have a relationship with all the expertise in the conference. But one thing that you have to bear in mind is how to make the person that you meet remember you. So that is the networking that you have to think. So if you meet people in the conference, for example, be sure to bring along your name card. When you meet people, you introduce yourself. So try to think what else that you can say to him or her, so that he can remember you, or she can remember you, even though after the conference. So one thing is you can give your name card, for example. So back from the conference, you can write an email to him saying that thank you for connecting, or thank you for giving such a good knowledge, or such a good discussion during the conference. And here is my email. Feel free to drop by if you come to Boston, for example. And we can have some coffee and chatting in Boston if you come over to US, or something like that. So try to put the rapport, try to put the bridge, and try to think the ways to make people remember you. So that is one good thing about how to have a good networking with people. And saying thanks, sending emails, sending thank you card. Not to be surprised that nowadays we still receive card sent manually by post. So actually, it's not about conventional or manual thing. It is actually the thought that counts. When you send by postage, some people appreciate it very, very much, and that person will really, really remember you, and that is one way of making people to keep on remembering you. And sometimes you never know, in 5 years or in 10 years, you will be meeting the same person at different place around the world. And sometimes you never know that that person that you met in the conference for the past 5 years is your supervisor. So yeah, it's very, very important to have networking. Don't let the meeting that you went or you involved went just you just live without any significant contact that you have to keep with you. Keep all the name cards. Keep all the name cards. Be sure to put it in a safe place, because sometimes in future you want to apply job in some of the companies that actually that person working in the companies that you want to apply for. So you can contact that person back. So you never know all these things, because networking is something to do with the uncertain future. So it is very important. So I keep all the name cards from my previous conference I attended during my PhD last time until now. Even my master also, I still have a good relationship with my managers. Until today, we still keep on messaging. We still keep on saying hi to each other. Even though we have nothing to say in the email, but it's fine, because people really don't look at how you the contents of your email, because the most important thing is you send them the email. The action actually counts. You send them the email, even though with just hi, it really means a lot to them. It's really meant a lot to them. So be sure to keep your contact, your teachers last time, your peers. It's good to have name cards with you. Try to create one, because not necessarily name card to be created during your working time. When you work only you have name card. No, that's wrong perception. During undergraduate, I've seen a lot of MIT undergraduates have their own name card, have their own personal introduction. They try to represent it in a small cards. They try to introduce themselves by giving something that people can remember. So yeah, I think it's a very good approach.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're taking a question from our audience. Here, Ahmad Faiz from earlier is asking, what do you expect of the future for the research and development sector in Malaysia?
Oh, okay. So of course I expect a bright future of research and development in Malaysia. Yeah, we are good. Maybe that's why the government put a lot of effort in sending in opening the grants or the chance, the opportunity to further involve in different kinds of sectors. For example, in my case, the government sent us to for the postdoc study to enhance more for the renewable energy field, and it is a good effort, I could say, and an obvious effort that shown by our country to further alleviate or ameliorate the level of R&D in our country.
Okay. Another question is from Malaysia. So we have Rozzeta from UTM KL. And she would like to know what drives you to become an expert in your field. Is there any benchmark or of achievement that you set as your goal?
Okay. Becoming an academician, actually, we learn to learn more. I mean, we love knowledge. So we try to be as much expert. We try to be expert as much as we can in our knowledge. So that's why at the end I mentioned earlier, we want to become an expert in particular field. So what is the field that we want to be expert in. So I try to ask myself, I try to at the same time I try to apply everything that I have learned before in one particular field or several field that you want to involve, but as long as you can apply that knowledge, so that is the most important thing for me. So whatever I learned, I try to apply in a practical way of doing it. So what case that I want to apply those methods. So that's why that is one of the factor that motivates me to explore more in the renewable energy or in the quality engineering field that I involved. So the other motivation that drives me to explore more in what I'm doing now is like the needs of our country. For example, the waste that, like I mentioned earlier. So we are the second largest producer of palm oil producer in the world after Indonesia, right? So as a second largest producer in the world, combining with the Indonesian, we are 85% of the palm oil producer in the world, together with Indonesia. 85% itself only by two countries. So having said that, as a second largest producer of palm oil, it also means that we produce a lot of waste. So the motivation to reduce the waste is actually the motivation for me to understand more how what are the best ways, what are the best ways that I can do in order to reduce the waste, in order to convert the waste into a higher value added products. So these are main reason why I indulge more in this particular research field.
Okay. Another question from Shafiq, again from MSU.
Mm-hmm.
He says that you are inspiring, and would like to know if you have any spiritual advices to be to be successful in life.
For me, I like to use whatever opportunity that I have. I mean, try to grab any opportunity that you have in front of you. Don't be choosy. Just grab anything that you feel that you can do. For example, like last time, I have a chance to run for the position of the president. So at the beginning, I feel like, oh, can I do that? Something, that kind of question come up from your mind. But don't think of the negative part too much. So at that moment, I told myself, just go, just do, just go for it, because you never know until you try it, right? So grab the opportunity, and then the difficult time will pass. I mean, the difficulties will pass, the time will pass, and then as we go along the way, as we pass all the hurdles, the obstacles, the time, and we can achieve. Actually, sometimes we will be surprised of what we can do actually. So we try to try everything that you have in front of you, try to grab the opportunities, and because you never know that if you never try, then you never know what you can do.
Okay.
So strive for more, as what Tun Mahathir said. Strive for more, even though you have success in one particular field, but try to strive for more. Knowledge always very, very important to be explored. No limitation. Sky is no longer the limit. So just do it. Don't think too much. And yeah, like what Nike said, just do it. Yeah.
We will touch, before we end, we'll touch about your experience with Minitab.
Mhm.
So yesterday you explained to me about how Minitab is a statistical software, right?
Mhm.
So what can you once again explain a little bit about Minitab, and when was your first time using Minitab, and how I guess how you were introduced to it?
Oh, okay. Again, Minitab was introduced to me way back when I was working in industries, and it is introduced by Puan Saleha, our consultant that time, Sistat Consulting Sundan Berhad. And we have been given a task to troubleshoot the problem, the production problem, and to higher the yield of a maximum production yield that we can achieve by using these statistical tools. And Minitab is a user-friendly software because it has different level of understanding, from basic, intermediate, and advanced. So all these levels all in one package. So we don't need to switch to other software if you want to go to advanced level. So we need to have it all from the basic to advanced. So that is very helpful, because the moment we change the software type, we need to understand from the beginning. So it's really time consuming actually if you were to change the software that you want to use, or the knowledge that you have to gain in order to understand different brand. So Minitab is a brand that we have everything in one package. So back to your question, I learned that tools when I was working, and then I found out that it's very useful in the working environment. And for my PhD, I try to differentiate between the manual and the software. Before I use the software, I try to calculate it manually and check. Really check whether I got the same results that I got in the software. And then I continue using it until I'm here at MIT, whereby I challenge myself to do the seminar, Minitab seminar, and introducing Minitab to MIT during IAP period last year. IAP is an independent activity period, which being held every January at MIT. So I try to challenge myself to do the seminar by my own initiative, and we open the short course to everyone, public, for free. And based on the response from the audience, response from the participants, we receive a lot of positive response. And the results of that short course was the installation of Minitab at MIT. So MIT bought the license from Minitab Inc. Yeah, Minitab Inc. USA, and then they install it at one of our library here. And as a result, we have a 16 PC with Minitab license, and it can be used by all MIT staff and MIT students. Because the feedback that we received, some of the some of the participants asked us, how can we use Minitab at MIT? And then where to use Minitab at MIT? So these kind of questions actually motivates MIT people or MIT management to purchase the license from MIT from Minitab Inc. And that's very good results out of my short course. And they invited me again to give the short course for second time for this coming January in IAP 2019 to explain about Minitab again to the public, because the course will be open to public, not only MIT but also to other people as well. And because they just installed it last month, and they would like to have training on how to use it, and they invited me again for handling that short course for Minitab. Yeah, and
Okay.
one advice that I really want to emphasize is, despite of all the software, not only Minitab but other software as well, we have a lot of softwares that we can use for optimization purpose. Bear in mind, please have a good foundation before you use it. It's not wrong to use it, but please have good foundation or good understanding, the formula behind it, the result behind it. How can we get that p-value? How can we get that significant results? How can we get that calculation out of the shortcut that they give us, the graph that they plot for us? Try to plot it by yourself manually first before you accept the result that appeared in the software. So it is very important. That is, I'm really concerned about it, because most of feedback that I receive when we use the software blindly, if we don't understand the theory behind it, it's really misleading. And it's really misleading short-term wise. yeah, you can solve some problems by using the software without a strong understanding, but long-term wise, sometimes you will end up with misleading results or misleading conclusion at the end, whereby it's very hard for us to make a conclusion at the end if we are not strong for the foundation or the theory at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we end, what advices do you have for students, especially those who are about to graduate? Maybe those, yeah, we can be to students in the US as well as in Malaysia, and also specifically for those majoring in mechanical engineering.
Okay. Advice before you end your undergraduate. Okay. First, try to do the intern with industry. That's really, really important because I heard that some of the undergraduate programs, they are given an options whether or not to choose to do the internship or not. And I personally feel like internship is compulsory because no matter how long you do the internship, not necessarily to be 6 months or several months, as long as you make it compulsory, do the internship regardless of how many months. So that is very important, number one. And number two, try to find jobs before you graduate if your intention is to find job. So if you cannot find it, don't give up. Just try to search for many companies and try not to be choosy and try to open to keep your options open. For example, to say that don't try to apply into one sector only. Try to apply different sector as well, because your background is not about your industry. Your background can be applied to any industry. For example, economy. Economy is not just for banking. You know, in manufacturing also we need people with economic background to understand the level of the finance of particular organizations, the strategy to do in order to have a proper production planning. We need economics. So, and also same goes for the science or technical background or engineering background. For chemical engineering, don't keep your option just for chemical industries. And same goes for electronics graduates. Don't just focus yourself to just electronics company. No, it is totally wrong, because in automotive industry, we need people from electronic background as well. We need people from chemical background as well to do some sort of chemical process in order to assemble the whole thing into one product or process. So the diversity of the course is not meant for one particular industry only. So please be open, keep your option open, try to apply all company or all industry, I could say, and the offer that you receive, you can consider it before you decided to choose which company that you want to work. If you have several offers, and if your option is to further your study to master level, you still can do that, because some people would like to further their study straight away after undergraduate to master and then to PhD straight away. But I, from my opinion, I like it to have a gap before you further your next level. At least
Okay.
few months of working, some experience, some practical working before you further your master, so that you can see what actually the real world looks like.
Okay, that's a very realistic advice, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But we have, like, maybe for students, we have a lot of things on our mind, especially when we graduate. We want this, we want that, but
Yeah.
we want, especially what we want is money. That's for sure.
Okay. That's one perception that is not wrong perception. Okay, to think about money, but also please consider about the skill that you will receive. It's very important. Try to give yourself an opportunity to learn more from others. Salary one thing, but do bear in mind that the skill also another thing, because by having the opportunity to work in a company or in industry, it is very good opportunity to understand people behavior, to practice yourself to become a good team player. So those are the place that you can practice yourself. So don't limit our target just for salary only or to one particular purpose only. Try to grab as much as we can, as I mentioned earlier. Try to grab everything that you can have in a company or in industry. Try to ask many things about their process. When you're working, don't just work. You can, you can ask them how to have a well-balanced life, how to have a good relationship with the supervisor, how to have a good relationship with the plant director, for example, with the chief officer, with the chief executive officer. Mingle around with people. Don't limit yourself to one category only. Try to be, try to have good rapport with other levels. So that is what we call opportunity. Whatever you have in front of you, try to be part of them.
Okay.
Isolate yourself.
It's very insightful, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's all the time we have for tonight's webinar. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Zeta. Not to forget, thank you to our audience for tuning in and for all your brilliant questions. We apologize for the questions that we're not able to pass to our speaker due to time constraints. But don't worry, you can surely shoot Dr. Zeta an email to ask your questions at rozzeta.kl@utm.my. So it's rozzeta.kl@utm.my, or through her Facebook account, Rozzeta binti Dolah. She will be more than happy to answer and get connected with you. So I'm sure everyone who had watched this webinar has a better understanding of postdoctorate fellowship journey, as well as the working field of mechanical engineering and chemical technology. We will be sharing her email through our Facebook event page, so feel free to get in touch with her, right? Right. So to anyone who did not get the chance to watch the whole webinar, we'll be posting the recorded video of the YouTube on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. And do email us or leave any comments about what you thought about the webinar, so that we'll be able to organize a better one next time. And I see Dr. Zeta has already assembled her team for one final goodbye with everyone. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a good weekend. Thank you, Dr. Zeta. Right, bye. Bye.
This is my strength, actually, my source of strength.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, see you again. Keep in touch. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.